I don't remember that I have submitted this text, but it sounds very nice. So, good afternoon. I am Sarunas Koncius. I'm working in Microsoft for 14 years, something like this right now. And I had different positions, but if you look what I'm doing, actually all the time more or less the same. So I'm not the sales or pre-sales guy. I'm the guy who is coming after you have already everything and you have no idea what to do with the stuff. We have special situations when we need to push customers at least to pay attention to some stuff. Like, for example, it was Windows XP end-of-life support. Right now, Internet Explorer end-of-life support of all versions with the exception 11. So you're still coming to your customer, you asking them, have you seen this message? Have you seen this notification on the web page? Do you have some issues? Even if you replace it with whatever, Firefox, Chrome, this is still part of the operating system, actually. It should be secured. It should be installed the latest version. It will be no problem to you. Maybe you still have some line of business application which requires Internet Explorer version 6. So what to do then? So this is how I can help to draw the roadmap, what you need to do in your organization in order to follow that stuff. And part of this is, of course, cloud computing, because cloud computing is not already what will come, it's already here. And well, probably you have seen a lot of statistics, but for me and for Microsoft, it is also important to see that the trend is not stopping. Trend increases, and of course we have a lot of risk associated with this. From one point of view, if you get to some hoster and say, hey, I would like to put something in your data center, and security level of this data center is higher than yours, most probably you will increase your own security. But again, you should know what to do, because most probably there will be still organization who will never let out data out of this data center, and we completely realize this. So this is why we have hybrid solutions, when you can leverage something from the cloud, have something in your data center, or when you can use cloud computing principles in your own data center. So for me, what is the most important stuff, like IDC, what is talking here, that they expect that in year 2020, there will be no more differentiation between public and private cloud. That makes me think a bit differently. So really, most probably, we will take those resources when we need them. And Microsoft creates new technologies following those guidelines, following those predictions. For example, we recently updated Link. This is kind of corporate version of Skype. Right now is the service, and the product has the new name Skype for Business. And Skype for Business allows you to broadcast your internet meeting, not to 250 or 1,000 customers, but actually to 10,000 customers and more. And this solution is implemented in special way that you will be not required to configure media services on the Azure, on Microsoft Azure Cloud. They will be configured for you, for your specific broadcast automatically. So actually we are using this technique for our own solution, even if you will use on-premises solution. If you would like to do the broadcast, the standard way will be use the cloud. And for us, it is important that our customers would accept this cloud and they would trust to this cloud, because this is the main decision point. If you not trust to the technology, you do not use this technology. And our trust principles, they're coming, well, from the year 2001 was probably, because for the first time when it was written very clear, it was Bill Gates' memo which says let's stop do innovation without security. What happens after that? There was a release of the Windows XP Service Pack 2 where everything was tightened, and actually it was next version of the operating system if you look to the architecture. But in reality, Bill Gates said that computing should be trustworthy at the same level as electricity. So you trust electricity, there are no issues about that. You use electricity in every home, in every building. So we would like to create cloud services which would be trusted by customers, and we already do this. I'm not talking only about something what is kind of right now like big names like Office 365, like Microsoft Azure, but we run the cloud stuff from very old times, like actually Outlook, or which name was previously Hotmail, like Xbox Live, which is a network for the players where we have millions of users active concurrently. We also have right now Skype. We're running operations of Skype, which is in reality the biggest international telco operator for the calls from one country to another. So actually we have operations already, and our kind of new boss, Satya Nadella, told very clearly that he will follow the road which was written in the Bill Gates memo, that actually businesses and users will go for some technology only if they trust this. So we're putting a lot of efforts, and main trusted cloud principles for us are security, privacy and control, compliance, transparency. And right now I will focus on the security part because well, this is also transparency. You should know what we are doing in order to make our operations in the cloud secure. Of course, nothing new. We follow this defense in depth schema. What means we putting security elements into every layer, and it is really hard to break through from some physical access to the data which are kept. And we follow most important security guidances, like trying to keep data encrypted both at rest when they are kept in the server, which actually is in our data center. When they are transferred from one data center to another, we encrypt them. We encrypt them when we transfer this data from our data center to the customer computer, and also we provide the tools that this data can be still kept encrypted at the customer computer. But if we look at the additional levels, like for example physical security, we also have some practice, and this practice says that actually no broken part of the equipment in the data center is leaving data center. So actually it is completely destroyed inside data center. And all those practices allow us to have certification of different kind, like ISO 27001, like FISMA and other stuff. And this is confirmed by third parties audit when they make this audit in our data centers. But for us, it is also important to change the mindset, because probably you already have seen a lot of presentation what is the situation right now. For me, it was very interesting to see several, well, maybe months ago, a report of the Lithuanian cybersecurity service. They provided information how many attacks Lithuanian IP addresses receive per day, how those attacks are targeted. So actually we are living not in the world where someone is trying to do business, trying to steal some data or to get into some network, but actually this is the condition of war. So you are not sure who is fighting with whom, but in reality we are at the war level. So we should react accordingly. So most probably strategy to do everything in order to prevent the breach into our network is not enough anymore, because yes, we do this, we do some threat modeling, we review the code, we do security testing, we have very strong methodology how we should do this, but we should change the mind. And our mindset was, when we started to run such operations like Microsoft Azure or Office 365, we assume that there is breach. So statistics shows that most probably all companies have some breaches already. And this is the question, when they will notify this. So actually the mindset should be done like this, that we should have our policies, procedures that in such kind of level that how we will act if we will really have a breach which is not detected in our network. So it should be much stronger, much more focused, and we should do additional stuff in order to try to find this breach. So, well, we try also to imitate some attacks from the inside of the network, and we try to model this. Assume breach methodology allows to have some people who are specifically targeted to attack, not only during some penetration testing, which is announced by some schedule, but all the time. So there's no schedule. They do is all the time. And they also do some insider attack, and also blue team, who actually are the protectors who should find out what happens. They also work all the time without real knowledge what the red team is doing. So this is real world scenario. And when some exercises is completed by the red team, those teams meet together and they talk to each other in order to understand what red team managed to do and what kind of information and what kind of prevention has been done by the blue team. And we learning out of that, we are creating better operations, better procedures, better processes. And well, is it really so big difference that we need to actually have two red teams? Because we have two of them. One team is working for Microsoft Azure Cloud. Another team is working for the Office 365. Well, if we have functional bug somewhere, most probably someone will notice. And someone will notice, maybe not internally at the Microsoft side, but the people will be not happy about the bug itself, and they will send a bug report. So teams will be involved, they will try to fix the bug, and that's it. So it will be solved. But what about if we have security bug? So if we have security bug, it is harder to notice. If someone will notice, this guy will not tell about the security bug. So he will try to use this bug in order to get into the network. And this is quite bug. We will have no information if we will not do something about this. So really, we should think how we can become those bad guys. At least we should start think how those bad guys think. So this is what actually red team is doing. They're bad guys. They have special rules, I will talk in a minute, but they do hacking, ethical hacking, and they're working together with other security infrastructure which we have together with blue team, which protects. And also, in addition to that, we also have a book bounty or bug bounty. So we pay some money for the guys who will find the bug, report to us, prove that it exists. Many companies are doing this. This is like external penetration testing. Well, in addition to that, I also can tell that customer in Azure Network, Azure Cloud, can ask for specific penetration testing. They may do this penetration testing by themselves. Of course, they should notify us, because we can overreact if we see something like this without preliminary notification. So what the red team is doing, what kind of techniques they are using, this is actually real world attacks. They don't have any specific methodology, what kind of things to check. They're looking around what new ideas appear in the hacker community, what new ideas appears as zero-day vulnerabilities. They will try to exploit this. When they will notice, when they will be ready, they have no need to notify our blue team what they will do. So this is really real world attacks actually. And we are measuring the time, what time is required to breach into the network, what time is required to get more privileges here. Well, they also should demonstrate impact. What is important? Everything is done not with the customer data. They're doing the stuff only with Microsoft data. So we also use our cloud, like Office 365. For example, well, you know most probably the standard domain name which stands in front belongs to the company who uses Office 365. So for example, Microsoft.sharepoint.com, this is actually our SharePoint stuff on the cloud. So they attacking this part. So what scenarios they're using, what process they're using, this is nothing new. They're doing typically what they do during penetration testing, but this is much broader stuff. They connect some attacks together. They're planning in advance. They do some sophisticated planning. They involve social engineering. They also do some attacks which starts from inside the network. So this is also some insider stuff. And in reality, Red Team is full-time employees working for Microsoft. And they attack Microsoft data in the cloud, in BOSS, in Azure, and in Office 365. They're ethical hackers, and their daily task is to perform attacks on all the stuff, including infrastructure, including platforms, including employees. But they have special conduct code, and 5 primary principles are like listed here. So they should not do something which would stop the service or impact the service. So they have some stoppers, very clear. They should not modify or access the data. They should get the proof that they are able to reach, but they should not do something more. Intentionally, they should not perform any destruction actions, and some other stuff. So actually they have very clear rules where they should stop, but what kind of technique to use, how connect those techniques together, when to do this, this is up to them. So this is not announced like maneuvers or by special schedule. This is done when they think it's time. The blue team, this is another team, this is security guys. They should collect the evidence, what happens. They should analyze this. They should raise some alerts. They should react if they see the breach. They should notify data owners. They should have the plan, how they will remediate this, and they should execute the plan. So actually, both teams work together, but they don't know what another team is doing. So when they fight together, this is so-called fog war. So they have no idea, and actually Red Team is also not informed what changes have been done or what kind of procedures has been changed on the security side. So, well, in order to understand what really happens, we should have data from both sides. So really, if you like to measure the time, like mean time to detection or mean time to response, we should sit down together, both teams, and we should look what this team was doing and how security team managed to detect this. So we should understand this, and they're doing those meetings, reviews after every exercise. Overall, all those teams, 2 teams are working together. We try to follow following security principles. This is that we assume the breach. So actually we do not rely on some static attack scenarios. We do not assume that those attacks will be provided from one fixed position, from one fixed location, only through special channels. So really we look globally, more holistically. And we put layers on different security implementation on different layers in order to improve our defense. And, well, number and distribution of those security controls for us, it's more important than one single solution which we would implement. So if we need to decide what we will do, we will go for the broader approach than for the one who will make some changes only in one specific place. And actually we are seeking to delay and respond than to prevent the attack. So actually we would like to notice, we would like to alert the team, and we have procedures how this team should react to such attack. I would like to show you short video for 4 minutes, which talks, here those guys from the red team talking actually what they're doing and how they're doing.
We recognize that no computer system is perfectly secure. So we invest heavily in an assume breach approach, where we prepare for emerging threats by assuming that the system's going to get compromised. So as part of our investments, we invest heavily in big data analytics and machine learning to identify and target anomalous behavior. And then we use deep forensics tools to hunt across the service, looking for potential compromises. And we also employ a dedicated team of penetration testers to find and fix security vulnerabilities.
I lead the Office 365 Red Team. You can think of us as an internal team of hackers focused on protecting Office 365. My team is composed of professionals with a variety of different backgrounds: developers, testers, network specialists, some from inside of Microsoft, some from government, others from private industry. We think and act like the adversaries that might attack our service or our customers. We analyze and probe the service for vulnerabilities. We track the latest emerging threats and trends to better simulate attack scenarios for Office 365. My team has significant freedom to be creative in our techniques, but at the same time, we have to adhere to some clear rules of engagement.
Importantly, we're careful not to place customer data at risk. We only target our own data in the service. We're careful not to impact the availability. And we're careful not to weaken any in-place security as it exists today. A typical simulated attack comprises of 3 major stages. The team starts with reconnaissance, probing the surface area of the service for potential vulnerabilities. Then they move into exploitation, where they try to exploit any discovered vulnerabilities and weaknesses in the service. And lastly, if they've made it through the first 2, they'll try to access representative data during the data access phase to show that they can.
During reconnaissance, we try to gather as much info as we can about that service that we're targeting. So we'll look at endpoints that are serving customer data. We may target web applications and try to get malicious code running through those, either via injection attacks like SQL injection, command injection, PowerShell injection, or other means. And when we discover a vulnerability, that's when we validate our assume breach readiness through exploitation. So at this point, we want to get at the data, which is ultimately our goal. We're going to try to bypass any protections that might be in place. We're going to try to not get caught. We're looking for anything to help us get at that goal.
We use advanced TTPs, or tactics, techniques, and procedures, of real adversaries that we've ripped from the news and that we know from research. We'll use sophisticated command and control infrastructure, system-level persistence.
And we're a Windows shop, so we'll use well-known Windows post-exploitation techniques like pass the hash, pass the ticket, and other credential theft. So all the while, we're trying to stay forensically clean and remain undiscovered in the environment by covering our tracks wherever we can. That's one scenario that Office 365 has to face. We'll also simulate other kinds of attacks as well. This includes spear phishing against service operators, insider attacks. We'll even leverage cross-site scripting and other types of client-side attacks to properly represent what an attacker might do.
We know that the red team attacks are as real as possible. We'll be able to harden the Office 365 service in the face of real attackers. Balancing the red team is the blue team, whose job it is to detect and remediate their attacks on the service.
When the blue team detects us, then that's when the cat and mouse game really starts. We try to stealthily access data while the blue team works to defend and kick us out of the service. We treat the exercise as a real incident until the blue team figures out it is us through investigation.
Both the red and the blue teams work together with engineering to fix and harden the service. All of this effort in simulating sophisticated attacks helps us to improve our detections of malicious activity and also evolve our algorithms and response capabilities.
We know that if we continuously validate the security of the service, we can stay ahead of emerging threats.
They put those videos from inside the cloud on the YouTube channel. Sometimes it is interesting to check them because, well, they say, let's say, some interesting things. For example, that for the blue team, it is kind of frustrating incident when they understand that this is done not by real hackers, by the red team. So they adjusted some procedures and compensation that it will be treated really not at the procedure level, but for the personal compensation, thus it would be real issue. So what is the difference? Because you may say, well, if you have all those protection layers, like physical, network, and so on, what red teaming really gives you more than just penetration testing? I would say we're using real tools. This is real world scenario. And we're doing much better analysis what happens during this incident. So those guys, they are really working as hackers. They are learning about this stuff. This is much more information typically brings to our engineering team, which can do additional things in order to prevent that. And what is more important, and what I really like, they're working on the live side. So this is not special site, which is test environment or just ready to be deployed. This is real live site, so we are working in the real world. And all those measurements which we are taking, we know what we can do in special situations. So actually, blue team is not waiting for the real incident when it will happen, but they have this already available situation, and they can work and practice all the time. Prevent breach and assume the breach. You should not think about those tactics like they can replace each other. No, you should use both of them. This is really important. So they work together. So just to prevent the breach, use some stuff, create some security measures. It's not enough. You should try to test them in more proactive way. This is what assume breach about. You should decide where to invest. You should select your assets which you would like to protect, because there will be no situation where you will have too much money and you can invest everywhere. You should plan appropriate exercises what you will do, and you should work with your staff appropriately. If you will have your own red team, you should do screening of those people who will join the team. You can imagine those people have really interesting work to do. So they should be trustworthy, really. And you should train, and you should have audit in place, and you should have operational security to respond. By the way, assume the breach, and it doesn't mean that you should have your own red team. So actually invest to the group of your own employees who would be the hackers. you can change your procedures and processes, assuming the breach, assuming that you already have it. So this is the important way, and it can replace the red team for you. And what we are doing here with the Trusted Cloud, we managed to reach a lot of certifications, and this red team really helps us to make sure that we not meeting the requirements at that level, but we really exceeding them in many places. So this is the status of our attestations at the June of 2015. And also I put additional information about the links. We have white paper which describes in more details how our enterprise cloud threat teaming is doing. We have some videos available, and also we have some videos which explain in more details how we are doing this. So if you would like, you can then later use those slides and go and check what we have here.
Thank you so much. That was just a fantastic synopsis of the undertakings that are part of the world that we live in when you have to work on security issues. Any questions? Who wants to be red and who wants to be blue? All right, well, thank you so much for your time and such a wonderful presentation.